Reddit reports. Like, subscribe and hit the bell. What are some stupid mentalities and mindsets that need to end?
Some people think that just because a person looks normal, they don't have a disability and must be lying.
Can confirm. Dyspraxic. Incredibly normal-looking cunt. People say I just use it as an excuse and that I'm quote full of shit, so I never tell anyone anymore. Except for right now, obviously.
I can't change anything, so I'm not going to try it.
It's been agreed the whole world stinks, so no one's taking showers anymore. /modest mouse.
That if I change my mind or opinion about something, I'm being fake or phony.
Seriously. It baffles me that reassessing your position on something after new information is made available or after additional experience is somehow a negative thing to some.
I had a guy tell me that I have a personality disorder, when I changed my opinion about a person. When person in question actually changed their behavior for better. So, yeah.
I've found that people who are prone to holding grudges get almost offended if you forgive someone that they were also mad at, even if the reasons had nothing to do with them.
Paraphrased from a book series Stormlight Archives by Sanderson, don't confuse hypocrisy with growth. Just because I'm young doesn't mean I don't need sufficient sleep. Just because I'm young doesn't mean I spend all of my money recklessly and need to work overtime every weekend. Just because I'm young doesn't mean I don't want to relax at home on my time off. I hear a lot of shit at work because I work with mostly older people. I budget my money wisely, and in a sense I also budget my time. Apparently those concepts are hard to understand. I feel you. So hard. An older, retired person once told me at the street, I was sitting there, on some stairs, eating a bagel, that I am the scum that needs to be gotten rid of because I am young, yet sitting there eating, and not working full-time. I was 17 at the time. Not even an adult, granted, my beard made me look like a 25-year-old, but still.
Sorry we weren't in factories by 7 years old like back in your day, you geriatric fuck. If you don't like someone, you must be just jealous.
If people hate you, it just means you are doing something right. No, that is not true and gives leeway for all sorts of horrible behavior. Also, the things you don't like about other people are the things you don't like about yourself. It's true sometimes, but some people treat this as an absolute.
That you need to stay in contact with all of your family members even though some of them are incredibly toxic.
I cut ties with my mom about a year ago, but I'm too afraid to talk about it for fear of being judged or the social stigma around it. That being said, my life is much less stressful and I still think it was the right choice.
It's been over a decade since I talked to my mother. My life is better in every way. You know what's best for you. I get it, though. I've felt judged because of this. In fact, it would have been 20+ years if my ex-wife hadn't convinced me to talk to her again based upon her misunderstanding of that relationship. She regretted it almost instantly, and it took me a year to shake her back off.
I hadn't realized how judged you will get by saying something like this until a kid from my class said they are your parents, of course you have to respect them no matter what, and I yelled hell no. Dead silence, the judgiest faces I've ever seen.
I'm being persecuted when I am contradicted.
My daughter would loudly protest stop yelling at me when I would calmly tell her things she didn't want to hear. She grew out of it, but some people never do.
My opinion is as good as your evidence. This, or that everyone's opinions are equally valid. No, the guy who has a PhD and 10 years of experience in the field's opinion is more valid than your 10 minutes Google search.
I half-jokingly blame movies for this, wherein the professional with years of experience is always wrong, and the plucky kid with a dream is always right.
If you don't post about a tragedy or support something on social media, you are okay with or don't support/care about said something. Absolute cancer.
I don't like the long copy pastas that say a lot of edge stuff and at the end says if you don't share this, you obviously don't care. I'll be checking to see who my real friends are, and will be removing people accordingly. Good riddance.
It's always shit like and comment if you like pineapple pizza, keep scrolling if you're a baby eating crackhead, designed to be a one-sided shit show.
And I'm here like, what do I do if I like both?
God, that reminds me of those social experiments they do on Facebook and shit.
If something doesn't work 100% of the time, it isn't worth doing. People use this as an excuse to never do anything, or to deny others from trying. It's frustrating and holds us back as a species. Edited for explanation and to add quotes.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Insert programmer here.
Programmer here. If it doesn't work 100% of the time, it's working 100% as expected. We'll sort it out after release. Edit, and by we I mean specifically not me, but another team entirely, with no previous knowledge of the package. Ticket status, pending. Last updated, 2003. Expecting everything instantly. Patience is a virtue. You're not going to die if you have to wait in line.
All 4 of my grandparents waited in line. They are all dead now.
Alcoholism being romanticized. No, it's pretty terrible to be honest. I feel like shit today. I want to stop drinking but I know I'm gonna drink more today.
r/stop drinking is a great place. Come visit. It's helped me immensely.
I've been there off and on. I don't seem to peruse there too often as I am generally some level of drunk. Perhaps I need to hang around there in the mornings.
The concept that both fault and responsibility can only be 100% or 0% and that if someone else has some fault it absolves another of all responsibility.
I feel this comment keenly because I just had to leave a job over this situation. 3 glowing years into my career I made my first, single, very small, quickly fixed mistake due to something my manager decided on his own and did not share. My manager expected me to take 100% responsibility for the mistake and basically yelled at me for hours for not apologizing fast enough, and then my manager totally ghosted me for several weeks afterwards, while maintaining normal contact with the rest of my team. I had to leave.
Great people always have options. Still to this day I don't understand why shitty managers don't see this. Then again when the good people leave all the shitty people stay, so it confirms shitty management's belief that no one can be trusted to do a good job.
Can we send this over to r/Shamith the asshole?
NTA. It's your house, your rules. He was at your large party and knocked over your lamp, accident or not, and that means you are entitled to call him the fattest sack of diseased shit you've ever seen. You were right to throw your drink in his face and rip his shirt before shoving him out the door and down the stairs. If it was me I would have done even more. What a jerk that guy is. Good job for protecting your property.
People who oppose good things because I struggled through it and so should you. Instead of thinking good, nobody should go through that if possible.
Currently struggling with a difficult/fussy baby. My mom refuses me any sympathy because apparently as a baby 30+ years ago, I made the selfish, conscious choice to be less than easy myself. I mean,
my mom said I was cheating at parenting by using earplugs in those situations. Lessening the sound of a screaming baby by 30 dB is a godsend.
I read about it on the internet, therefore it's true. My grandma does this all the time to prove her argument and it always ends up being from some BuzzFeed article. Drives me fucking nuts.
Or people will cherry-pick quotes and not include the contradictory/explanatory evidence in the next sentence.
The good old quote mine. Person A, I agree X seems crazy, but if you just look at these pieces of data it actually makes sense. Person B, I think X is ridiculous. And look. Here's a direct quote from Person A, an expert in the field, where he says I agree X seems crazy.
You have a golden opportunity here. See how much onion you can get her to eat.
This but also with they said it on TV. My grandparents aren't huge internet users but they watch angry political talk shows like it's their lifeblood. At any given time they'll be watching some yelling guy ranting and raving, and if you ask to watch something else they're like, but we're being educated. There's nothing wrong with yelling and these guys may have a point in their rants, but it's often just people saying stuff without any evidence or further explanation. Just this politician eats baby koalas and my grandparents are like, can't argue with that.
Abe Lincoln would also like you to believe he's not a baby eater. But he's never gone on record saying he isn't. Maybe he's too busy eating babies. Last year I heard him say he was 15. This year he claims he's 16. Which is it, Abe? Try to keep your stories straight.
Yeah. My brother does this all the time. Believes everything he reads on the internet except for things that don't fit with his opinions and beliefs. And then tries to teach all of us to think like him. He talks about someone being a bad person because he read it on the internet. When I ask him if he ever listened to that person speaking or the evidence that shows that person is actually the good guy and helped a lot of people, he just replies no and I don't need to. The internet people wrote that and that must be the truth. I tried having a conversation with him about this, but nope, internet people don't lie. Quitting is only for losers. If you try something and don't like it, why keep doing it? Why not allow yourself to switch to a better major or try a different sport or get a new job?
I mean, don't quit everything once it gets hard, but why stay miserable for a quitter's never win mentality? Get a job you like. Do an activity you like.
Edit. I really don't mean quit the second you struggle. I do mean knowing when to quit, as many of the comments say. I mean knowing when to go on to better things. As an example, in my own life, I changed majors when I saw how miserable the future seemed to me and how badly I was struggling. The switch was the best decision I ever made. It took me too long to not see it as quitting anymore, but moving on. And thanks for the silvers, guys. And the bless up. Edit. Wow, my first Reddit gold. I'm honored.
It's a sign of strength and stuff to know when to quit. Sometimes you have to quit or leave something to improve and move on with your life. That if you are a salaried employee and don't finish your work on time, you have to work unpaid overtime until it's complete, but if at another time, you complete all of your work early and there's literally nothing left to be done, you're not allowed to leave and instead have to sit at your desk doing nothing until you get in your 40 hours for the week.
Employees should either be paid to have their ass in a seat for 40 hours, no more, no less, or be paid to complete a certain set of work regardless of whether it takes 30 hours or 50 hours. This BS double standard that you're paid to complete a task, not for a certain number of hours when there's extra work, but are paid to be there for a certain number of hours, not to complete a task then leave when there's less work needs to end.
I had a production-based white-collar job that greatly benefited my lifestyle, went to a ton of hockey games and traveled a lot, as in I would go to 100 to 120 games per year around the US. I had to compete 40 to 45 audits per month and had the benefit of being able to work from home on 75% of them. My typical week, I'd visit clients Monday through Wednesday to gather documents. I just write up a dozen reports on one night and just time it out to submit 2 or 3 at certain times.
Where it made it look like I was working business hours. I'd even stockpile reports that aren't due for another month so that I could take vacations without using up vacation days. Many a time I'd have my work laptop with me on the other side of the country while visiting family, to keep this up.
You cracked the code. I work ahead and keep everything up to date, so almost every day I finish my work by about noon and then just keep an eye out for important emails. Never tell anyone you are all caught up, or that you pushed ahead. They will just give you more work without compensation.
Same here. I've learned to inject much more life into the work-life balance of my job for my own mental health. My company is based in Los Angeles, and whenever I have to come into head office for a full week of Monday to Friday meetings, etc., I will be sure to fly in on a Saturday. Because I have my hotel, flights, and rental car paid for by the company as a business expense, I'm then able to wake up early on Sunday and spend the entire day exploring LA. I've been able to accumulate sightseeing trips to all the major spots including Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood Boulevard, Paramount Studios, Universal Studios, the nearby beaches, etc., or sometimes I've just spent the day at the hotel pool with my headphones laying in the sun, and I've been able to enjoy these mini vacations without the $1,000 plus on flights, hotel and car coming out of my own pocket. If it was up to the company, I'd be expected to fly in late on Sunday, get to my hotel around 7 to 8 p.m., just enough time to unpack my bags, eat a late dinner, shower, and into bed before the next morning's meetings. Fuck that. You gotta grab everything you can from this cold corporate world.
I got into this discussion several times with my old boss. We are either hourly or salaried. We were all salaried. If he was going to demand that my team be in their desks at a certain time, I was going to demand they be out of the building at a certain time. Whenever I asked him if he had an issue with the work we were doing, he said of course not. When asked what the problem was then, he said others might think it looks bad. He was a little bitch.
Greater than if he was going to demand that my team be in their desks at a certain time, I was going to demand they be out of the building at a certain time. Haha, that's a great little snippet to remember the next time anyone bitches about people's arrival time.
Former colleague asked our manager if he was a punch clock because he would complain about him being 5 minutes late but okay when he stayed later. His face. Lol.
Look for salaried non-exempt, You are guaranteed 40 hours worth of pay, and you are also entitled to OT and holiday pay, etc. assuming approval to work the extra hours from your management, but you'll still be able to earn the OT pay should you work those hours.
I've only managed to land that type of job once in my career, and it was over a decade ago when I did slightly different work than I do now, and for less than half as much money. Salaried non-exempt jobs are few and far between. They only solve half the battle, too. You do get the benefit of additional pay when there's additional work, but you still have to sit there and stare at nothing when your boss tells you there's no work to do but you haven't hit 40 hours.